Tonight, the unusual political event, former President Trump's town hall, devolving into a dance party, raising new questions. The bizarre moments as Trump cut short his own event, turning it into an impromptu DJ session. As he showed off his dance moves, Vice President Harris slammed his boogie down production, calling him unhinged, both entering their final stretch ahead of the election, blasting through battleground states. Lines wrapped around the block as Georgia begins early voting. The voting records already shattered in the must-win state. We're tracking the latest. Also tonight, ISIS-K election plot. Alarming new reporting that the terrorist group was directing a man to carry out a mass shooting as Americans cast their votes. The new revelations after that man was taken into FBI custody. The coordination between ISIS-K and the would-be attacker standing out from other terrorism cases will explain. 90 plus still missing. North Carolina still paralyzed weeks after Hurricane Helene. People searching for loved ones. We hear from a mother about the nightmare reality she and so many others now face, living without power and water. And the shocking new announcement from the Small Business Administration, the pivotal lifeline for victims completely out of money. And when we could see our next named storm, that's right, we're tracking another storm system in the Caribbean. Menendez brothers getting out. The Los Angeles District Attorney expected to make a big announcement tomorrow. The question swirling if the brothers will be resentenced as their case is launched back into the spotlight. Jews denied boarding. Lufthansa facing a record $4 million fine for discriminating against Jewish passengers. We'll show you the startling video as the German airline refused to let more than 100 travelers board their plane. Plus, chicken and turkey recall here in the U.S. Health officials sounding the alarm on millions of pounds of meat that could make you sick, what you should avoid at the grocery store. And the breaking news, Delta pausing flights between New York and Tel Aviv due to the conflict in the Middle East. Top story starts right now. And good evening. Tonight marks exactly 3 weeks until the 2024 presidential election. With the race virtually neck and neck, every single moment up until then is a battle to win over voters. Former President Trump and Vice President Harris embarking on a whirlwind 21-day campaign blitz, and at some points taking on a non-traditional turn. This evening, questions are mounting over what really happened when Trump abruptly ended his town hall and turned it into a dance party. Take a listen.
Go and vote. Let me hear that music, please.
Everyone, let's thank President Trump.
Nice and loud.
God bless you.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the...
Nobody's leaving. What's going on? There's nobody leaving. Keep going.
Vice President Harris sharpening her attacks on her opponent, using some of her harshest language yet about the former president.
He's talking about that he considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country. I believe so strongly that a second Trump term would be a huge risk for America and dangerous.
Harris back on the trail, making her plea to black voters in Detroit as Trump addressed the Economic Club of Chicago. While there, he pushed back against questions about his age in an interview with Bloomberg News. Tonight, he'll speak at a rally in Atlanta, and it comes as Georgia marks its first day of early voting. And look at this. The state breaking turnout records with more than 200,000 ballots already cast. You can see the long lines of people waiting to cast their vote. So what will Trump say tonight about early voting, an election method he has repeatedly bashed in the past? And at this hour, the race is still up for grabs. A new Reuters Ipsos poll has Harris up 3 points, the results well within the poll's margin of error. We have a lot to get to, but we start tonight with NBC senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez in Battleground, Georgia.
Tonight, after polls showing momentum for former President Trump, Vice President Harris is in Battleground, Michigan, courting black voters.
You can't let anybody take you out of the game by not voting. The solutions are not going to happen just overnight.
Harris also ramping up her attacks on Trump.
Donald Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged.
While today, the former president touting his plans for tariffs. He says protect American jobs.
To me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff.
But he was also pressed after he previously said he'd not spoken to Russian President Vladimir Putin since leaving office.
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing.
It all comes after his unusual town hall in crucial Pennsylvania overnight.
A doctor, please.
Cut short following 2 medical episodes in the audience, as many complained about the heat.
Personally, I enjoy this. We lose weight. Would anybody else like to faint?
Then, for more than a half hour, Trump played DJ and swayed to some of his favorite songs.
Let's just listen to music. Who the hell wants to hear questions, right?
Meanwhile, here in battleground Georgia, early voting is now underway. Election officials say more than 200,000 people cast ballots today, shattering the state's record. A new NBC News poll shows half of Americans plan to vote early or have already done so, including Harris supporter Mark Evans.
Why are you supporting Kamala Harris?
I feel that she's the better option for people that look like me.
And now, after years of Trump vilifying early and mail-in voting, tonight the former president is urging his supporters here to cast their ballot as soon as possible. This couple just did.
I think we are having an existential crisis that we need to make sure we get the vote in.
All right, Gabe joins us now from Atlanta. Gabe, let's go back to that event that former President Trump was, as you said, playing DJ and showing off some of his moves. Has the campaign explained exactly what happened there?
Hey there, Tom. So we've spoken with several people with the campaign, and a source familiar who attended the event said that it was a game-time decision by Trump to try and make sure that people stuck around. So another source says that there was a misunderstanding, apparently, between former President Trump and Kristi Noem, who was the moderator. He wanted to keep taking questions. She thought the event was over, or should be over, after those medical situations. And so there was that misunderstanding. At one point, though, then the music started playing, and Trump just went with it. We also spoke with a person who was backstage, and that person said that once the music started playing, there was a campaign staffer who would jot down what they thought were Trump's favorite songs, and then handed the piece of paper one by one to the audio text to play the song. So it's certainly, Tom, a very unusual event 3 weeks before Election Day. No less.
3 people, 3 different stories. All right, one day, hopefully, we'll get the truth. I do want to ask you about another moment. I know that at that Bloomberg event, he was asked about conversations that have been reported that he had with Vladimir Putin after he left office. How did the former president answer that?
Well, as we mentioned in the piece, he said no comment, which is pretty unusual for Donald Trump. Tom, as you know, covering for many years, it's not often that he says no comment, and that does contradict what he said before. He actually has commented on that allegation that he had spoken with Vladimir Putin after leaving office. In an interview with ABC News several days ago, he had said he had called that false, but this time he's saying no comment. And again, he was pressed by the interviewer and wouldn't go with it, not even saying he was implied that he talked to Putin. Tom?
Okay, Gabe, we appreciate that. Thank you. For more on the state of the 2024 presidential race, let's bring in our political pros. Zach Petkansas, a Democratic strategist and former Hillary Clinton campaign senior advisor, and Mark Lauder, former director of strategic communications for the 2020 Trump-Pence campaign. Mark, I'm not sure if you're into dancing. I'm not sure if you have moves like Jagger. Your former boss, what do you think happened there?
You know, obviously, I saw it as well as everyone else was. I have a feeling, you know, he just went with it. I have heard many times that he likes doing the DJ thing at Mar-a-Lago during the dinners when he's there with some of the patrons and guests. And looks like the crowd was having a good time. And I do think one thing that people don't get about the Trump rallies, it's not just about the speech. They are generally a good time. The people love being there. And so I think he went with the mood.
I totally get it. And these rallies, you know, they're not like your typical political rallies. You could argue that's what helped him, right? In 2016, maybe it still helps him. But 30 minutes and we're 3 weeks from Election Day. I mean, clearly something went wrong.
Well, the one thing I would say, though, is that unlike a traditional candidate, Donald Trump doesn't need to introduce himself to the voters. They know what they get with Donald Trump. You get lower prices, a secured border, a safer world. So he's not an unknown quantity. So if anyone could do this and just say, let's have fun with it, it'd be Donald Trump.
Zach, I mean, I don't even know if it matters, to be honest with you, but do Democrats do anything with this?
Well, I think it raises some very serious questions about Donald Trump's health. I mean, that was unhinged, unstable, erratic behavior, and it's part of a growing pattern. I mean, he's recently talked about setting the military and National Guard to go round up his political enemies. He's recently pulled out of a 60 Minutes interview. He's refusing to debate Kamala Harris anymore. I mean, all this raises serious questions about his health, and and he needs to release his medical records, which is one of the things that the Kamala Harris campaign has been calling on him to do. Donald Trump said he would do it on August 20th, and he has since refused to do it. And the instances at the rally, the weird sort of zombie-like swaying for 40 minutes, the pulling out of interviews, the refusing to debate, all raises questions about his health, and he needs to release his medical records.
Zach, wasn't this, it's so weird. I almost feel like I'm in an alternate universe, right? Because I remember when Republicans were saying the same thing about President Biden, and they were questioning you about the same thing, and Democrats were on defense when Biden was the nominee.
I have no memory of that. What I do know is that the nearly 80-year-old nominee Donald Trump refuses to release his medical records, and he's exhibiting extremely erratic, unstable behavior on the campaign
Zach,
trail.
I want to put up some poll numbers for you. This is from 2020, and I asked our producers to dig this up. These were the exit polls after people had voted in 2020, and it was, when did you finally make your decision? 73% of people, you see right there, before September, 11% in September. Most people, Zach, have made up their mind, right? And I ask this because does this matter, what's happening now? Does it even matter what Vice President Kamala Harris is doing in these final days?
Look, everything matters right now because it is an extremely close election. And so both of the candidates are going after the same sliver of voters to show them why they should be the ones that have the edge. And I think that incidents like this, which show Donald Trump may not be fit to get the nuclear codes again because he's unstable and erratic, could have a really big difference in such a close election.
Mark, I want to ask you something. Michelle Obama is one of the biggest surrogates on the Democratic side, right? People loved her at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, loved her speech. And we just have the story, this just popped on our website. Despite her call to do something for Harris, Michelle Obama has yet to hit the campaign trail. What do you think's happening here? I mean, what's your insight in this? Is this a mistake by Democrats not to get her out there more?
Well, obviously, she's probably one of the most popular people in the Democrat Party. But my question is it going to make a difference? I mean, when Barack Obama and Michelle Obama went out campaigning for Hillary in 2016, and they were the president and first lady, they couldn't drag Hillary Clinton across the finish line. I think they see the momentum changing in this race. They see it falling away from Kamala Harris, and maybe they're just going to put a little bit of distance from themselves. That way they can help regroup and start over again in 28.
Zach, what do you think's happening here? I mean, you're a Democrat. You've worked on these campaigns. What's happening?
Look, the heavyweights come out at the end. There are very few people who are a bigger heavyweight than Michelle Obama. I anticipate she's going to be out on the campaign trail for Kamala Harris, and the Kamala Harris campaign is all the better for it because, as Mark says, nobody is more popular than Michelle Obama, and we'll be very excited when she gets back.
Yeah, well, the clock's ticking. We're going to have to wait and see if she comes out. Zach, I do want to talk to you about Vice President Harris's media strategy, right? It's been really interesting. She's kind of doing stuff outside the bubble, if you will, of the mainstream media, but now she's doing Fox News as well. And my question is, I don't think that's an accident, right? That's a strategy. They must see something in the numbers there. What do you think they're seeing?
Look, I mean, the people who are politically engaged, they know where they're voting. It's the people who are not potentially politically engaged, that are looking at non-traditional media sources, that are potential Democrats that are watching Fox News, or independents who are watching Fox News that may not be sold on Donald Trump. They are going after voters where they are, whether it's traditional political outreach or not. So I think it's a really, really smart strategy, and it's going to pay dividends.
You know, Mark, I got to say, I mean, you guys were attacking Democrats and attacking Vice President Kamala Harris for not doing town halls, not doing debates, not doing interviews. She seems to be doing all of that and wanting to do more. And you have former President Trump canceling interviews with us, or I should say postponing with us, with CNBC and with others. What do you think's happening here?
Well, I think from Kamala Harris's standpoint, it's desperation. I think they had to change their strategy. They saw the movement in the polls. They see this thing slipping away. And so now, whether it's their attacks about health records or all of these sudden interviews, I mean, they're just throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks. Donald Trump knows he's in the lead right now, and I think he's going where the voters are. That's not necessarily going to be on 60 Minutes. That's not necessarily going to be on some of these traditional media outlets. So you're going to see him do more of the podcasts and more of these local events where you get a lot of local
right, Mark, I get
media
that.
coverage.
I get that, but just real quick, because we have to end the segment, what's happened, though, right? Because he's not doing the debates. He's doing less interviews. He just cut off the town hall in half. I mean, this is literally what you guys were attacking Kamala Harris for at the Democratic National Convention.
Well, in this case, I think it's because he's winning. He knows he's winning. He's about 8% ahead of where Joe Biden was in 2020. So why go out there and do all of these? You don't need another debate. Don't give her that platform. And you don't need to do all of these interviews. Keep yourself focused on those battleground states and turnout. That's the key.
Mark Lauder, Zacatecas, Kansas, we thank you so much for being on Top Story tonight. Great discussion. We also have exclusive new reporting tonight from our investigative team about that foiled Election Day terror plot. NBC News has learned that the man arrested for planning the attack was working at the direction of ISIS-K, the Afghan branch of the Islamic State terror group. It comes after 27-year-old Nasir Tawhidi, you see him here, was arrested last week after federal authorities discovered he was allegedly planning to carry out a mass shooting on Election Day. For more on this, I want to get right to Tom Winter here in studio with that exclusive reporting. Tom, my producers were pointing out to me that this one was different because there was direct communication, right, from ISIS-K with this alleged suspect.
Well, that's exactly right, Tom. And I think that's why people are so concerned about this potential plot and what was uncovered by the FBI here and why they eventually made the charge. I mean, we're talking about Election Day. That's a big deal. We're talking about a potential mass shooting. That's a big deal. But if we now have something that we haven't seen in a long time, which is the idea that foreign terrorist organizations are directing people here on U.S. soil, that is a change from the last 8 or 9 years of what we've seen in this country when we've seen more often lone wolf type style attacks. The question that you're asking, how did they get onto this? You're asking about the James Bond moment. The analyst who's sitting behind 6 computer screens trying to figure this out, or the roadside meeting in Afghanistan. That's what the FBI is really tight-lipped about tonight. They're not shedding any light on that, but clearly they get some communications at some point, and they actually put in the charging documents the person who they call Malik, who he's talking to in Afghanistan.
ISIS-K, are they back in a big way? They've been active this year. We know there was that attack in Russia at that theater, I believe, in March. And now you have this. What's going on with them?
ISIS-K, huge presence on the scene. The U.S. just doesn't have the presence since September 2021, when the U.S. pulled out, that we used to have in Afghanistan. That's really got law enforcement officials here concerned, intelligence officials concerned. We're operating in a much more blind state than we were back then. And they're just one of the terrorist groups that has seen a real resurgence, particularly following the October 7th attacks. You've got al-Qaeda on the rise. Hezbollah External Security Operations, ESO, not many people know about them. They are a potential threat to be looking after. And then, of course, the people in the events that we've seen just this past summer, 2 attempted assassination attempts, people that are consuming materials online, Tom, that are going down the rabbit hole. That's a real concern.
Tom Winter first. Tom, big exclusive reporting. We appreciate that. We now want to move to the ongoing devastation after Hurricane Helene. North Carolina's governor saying about 90 people still remain unaccounted for. 90 Americans. In addition, officials are warning about a wave of misinformation that is hampering recovery efforts. And late today, the White House announcing the Small Business Administration's disaster loan fund, that it has run out of money. Kathy Park has the latest from the region.
Tonight, more than 2 weeks since Hurricane Helene tore its path of destruction through western North Carolina, recovery efforts are being complicated by what officials are calling a persistent and dangerous flow of misinformation. FEMA making operational adjustments in recent days to protect staff after authorities say an armed man was arrested for allegedly threatening federal workers.
We have over 2,000 people from the federal family in North Carolina. and misinformation will not deter us from our mission of helping people.
Governor Roy Cooper back in the disaster zone today.
There are so many people who are still barely getting by. What are you telling them weeks into this disaster?
That we are working to try and draw down every avenue of local, state, and federal support. I think it can safely be described as the worst storm in North Carolina history.
And Wayna Smith and her 2 kids have been without clean running water and electricity for weeks.
I had to teach my babies how to brush their teeth and wash their bodies with a bottle of water last week. You know, we didn't have any water, we didn't have any electric, and it was so dark. My baby was like, Mommy, it's so dark. I was like, just go to sleep. That's the only thing you can do. It's devastating.
Schools across Asheville closed since Helene hit, now scrambling to reopen.
We don't really have running water yet in the schools.
Is that the biggest holdup?
That would be the #1 holdup.
Chrissy Maynor, a single mom of 2, showed us how she's surviving without access to basic necessities.
I was having to go to the creek down here and get water to flush the toilets.
A harsh reality setting in for this lifelong Asheville resident.
It's heartbreaking to see so much loss in such a beautiful place that is now destroyed, that's never going to be the same.
Kathy Park joins us now from Swannanoa in North Carolina. And Kathy, big thanks to you and your team sticking on this story and reporting this out, because this is far from over. And now we have this new development, right? The Small Business Association, their disaster loan fund, the president saying they have no more money. What does that mean to all those people you've been talking to?
Yeah, Tom, it's another challenge that's added to the ongoing problem here in Western North Carolina. This is a key federal program. It offers low-interest loans to disaster survivors. And as you mentioned, the money has run dry, according to the president today. He did encourage applicants to continue applying for assistance. But, Tom, keep in mind, Congress is out on recess right now. They're not expected to come back until after the election, so it will take some time for them to review and approve the funding. According to the Washington Post, the SBA says already they've issued 700 loans, and that amounts to about $48 million, all attached to Hurricane Helene.
Okay, Kathy Park, again, we appreciate your reporting. And as the South continues to recover from those back-to-back hurricanes, we're also monitoring 2 other areas in the tropics. Let's get right to NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns, who joins me live now. And Bill, I hate even asking you about this, but we have to watch what's happening there.
Yeah, we can get some big storms in October. This threat does not look like it's going to be big. We're going to keep an eye on it for our friends in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. 50% chance that this does develop into a tropical depression. The other area is only 20%, and neither, Tom, is heading for the lower 48. It's just our friends in the Caribbean that we have to worry about.
All right, Bill Cairns first. Bill, again, big thanks to you, too, for all your help during this hurricane season. Still ahead tonight, the German airliner Lufthansa hit with a record fine for discriminating against Jewish passengers. You heard me right. The $4 million penalty the company faces after it barred more than 100 traveling from boarding. The shocking exchanges between passengers and airline employees during that 2022 incident. Plus, the looming announcement in the Menendez brothers' bid for freedom. Could the brothers jailed for killing their parents get a re-sentence? We'll explain. And security camera video capturing the moment a car drives through a coffee shop. Look at that. What we know about those inside. Stay with us. We're back now with an update on the Menendez brothers trial that has captivated the world's attention once again. To remind our viewers, the high-profile case started back in 1989 when Lyle and Eric Menendez shot and killed their parents in their Beverly Hills home. After 2 trials in 1996, the brothers were charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. They've now spent nearly 35 years behind bars, but new evidence, including a letter written by Eric that details allegations that he was sexually abused by his father, as well as new testimony from a member of the hit Latin group Menudo, alleging the Menendez father molested him as well, has brought the fairness of their sentencing back into question. A new Netflix series and documentary also launching the notorious case into the spotlight and the media once again. The future of the case and a potential resentencing now in the hands of Los Angeles District Attorney. To help us break down what all this means, I want to bring in Sarah Azari. She's a criminal trial attorney and a good friend of Top Story. So this is a very public case. We made that clear from the get-go. There's now the TV show, the documentary. As you mentioned, the DA here is running for re-election. And we even have that exclusive letter from Kim Kardashian that she shared with NBC News, in which she writes, the trial and punishment these brothers received, We're more benefiting a serial killer than two individuals who endured years of sexual abuse by the very people they loved and trusted. I don't believe that spending their entire natural lives incarcerated was the right punishment for this complex case. Does the Kim Kardashian letter, does all of this publicity hold any type of hope for the Menendez brothers who want to either get out of prison or resentenced?
Absolutely. I think it brings the heat up. You know, number one, the documentary on Netflix, I watched one episode, it's pretty well done. It sheds light on what happened. You know, there's a lot of younger generations that were not around at the time of this trial. I was, unfortunately. But, you know, so people understand what really went down in this trial. And Kim Kardashian, Rosie O'Donnell, who's been behind this for even longer than Kim K., you know, they are raising public awareness and more public support for resentencing. But, Tom, to me, the more important supporters are the family members, because usually in these cases we have family members of the victims coming into court screaming for death row and life without parole. And here we have family members, all but except two, who are saying release them. They were abused.
Sarah Azari, always a pleasure to have you here on Top Story. We're going to watch and see what happens tomorrow in L.A. When we come back, the urgent warning over chicken and turkey linked to listeria. The meat products being recalled from stores including Trader Joe's and Walmart. We're going to tell you what to look out for. Stay with us. All right, we are back now with Top Stories news feed, and we start with a major announcement from Delta Airlines. The airline says it is pausing all flights from New York's JFK Airport to Tel Aviv through at least March 31st. Delta says the change is due to the ongoing conflict in the region. Israel has been threatening a retaliatory strike against Iran for weeks now. A travel waiver will be issued to affected customers. Shocking video shows the moment a car plowed into a California coffee shop. Surveillance footage captured the car smashing through Enigma Coffee in Tarzana. 8 people suffered minor injuries, including the 60-year-old driver. The building suffered significant damage. Police say it's unclear what happened, but no one has been cited so far. A consumer alert: roughly 10 million pounds of meat products have been recalled over possible listeria contamination. The pre-cooked meat products produced by Bruce Pack were sold at major retailers including Trader Joe's and Walmart. Federal regulators say routine testing discovered listeria bacteria traced back to poultry products. You can find more about the affected products on our website, NBCnews.com. And Tom Brady's bid to purchase a minority stake in the Las Vegas Raiders has been approved. The NFL owners voting to approve the purchase during the league's meeting in Atlanta. It comes 17 months after Raiders owner Mark Davis originally announced Brady would be buying a stake in his team. This August, it was reported Brady, who is now a Fox NFL analyst, would face broadcasting restrictions if he became a part owner. Okay, we want to turn now to the record fine for Germany's flagship airline, Lufthansa. The U.S. Department of Transportation saying the airline discriminated against more than 120 Jewish passengers during a connecting flight in May of 2022. Sam Brock has the details.
Tonight, the federal government taking unprecedented steps.
Is there an official explanation for why? Wait a moment, please.
After a May 2022 Lufthansa flight carrying mostly Jewish passengers from New York City to Budapest heard this when the plane stopped for a connection in Frankfurt.
Due to an operational reason, we have to cancel you on this flight.
The Department of Transportation fining Lufthansa $4 million, a record for a civil rights violation against an airline, saying Lufthansa prohibited 128 Jewish passengers, most of whom wore distinctive garb typically worn by Orthodox Jewish men, from boarding their connecting flight. That was due to allegations some passengers weren't following masking protocols.
It's the toughest enforcement action that I have seen for a civil rights violation.
On the website Dan's Deals, a popular site for Jewish travelers.
This is 2022.
This exchange between a passenger and Lufthansa drawing outrage.
Jewish people who were the mess, who made the problems.
So Jewish people on the plane made a problem, so all Jews are banned from Lufthansa for the day.
Just for this flight.
Lufthansa condemned the incident at the time and wrote in a statement today it's introducing a first-of-its-kind training program to address anti-Semitism and is dedicated to being an ambassador of goodwill, tolerance, diversity, and acceptance. Now, a DOT declaration not to let this kind of behavior go unpunished. Sam Brock, NBC News.
All right, coming up next, the explosive move from North Korea. Kim Jong-un's army blowing up two routes that once connected the North and South in a symbolic display of aggression. What they say South Korea did that triggered that response, and how Putin's connection to the region may have played a role. That's next. We're back now with new images out of the Korean peninsula. The North blowing up parts of a road and a rail route that once connected it to the South. The public display of aggression coming after North Korea says the South flew drones and dropped propaganda flyers over its capital. NBC foreign correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer has this one.
The unused roads and rail lines that once linked North Korea with the South were blown up in a spectacular and symbolic display of aggression. The explosions, seen in videos taken from the south side of the demarcation line, triggered warning shots from South Korea's military. And strong condemnation from South Korea's government, a spokesperson calling it a very abnormal act. For days, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had vowed to cut off the links once seen as symbols of inter-Korea cooperation and to entirely sever his territory from the South. The fury over drones, with North Korea accusing the South of sending several to drop propaganda flyers over Pyongyang 3 times in the last month. Kim Jong-un's powerful sister, Kim Yo-jong, declared there's evidence proving it was the South. At first, South Korean military officials denied it, then said no comment. Both sides now positioning forces at high alert, with recent images showing that the North has been laying landmines, laying anti-tank traps, and building barriers for months.
Kim Jong-un has made clear that he sees this not as one people, but 2 states on the Korean Peninsula, and he's taking efforts to send a direct signal to South Korea that the era of engagement is over, and this is a physical manifestation of that policy.
During Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to North Korea in June, the 2 nations signed a comprehensive strategic partnership, stoking fears those deepening ties have emboldened Kim Jong-un.
In the absence of North Korea's relationship with Russia, I don't think we would see the North Koreans be as provocative as they are right now.
It's still unlikely that Kim will launch any sort of large-scale attack because of retaliation by South Korea, along with U.S. forces, could be devastating.
We continue to urge the DPRK to reduce tensions and cease any actions that would increase the risk of conflict, and we encourage the DPRK to return to dialogue and diplomacy.
For years, there have been upticks in military tension around North Korean missile testing and South Korea's military drills with the United States. This time, the rhetoric is angrier, and Kim is emboldened to follow through on those threats, which is a dangerous escalation for 2 countries still technically at war. Tom?
All right, we thank Janice Mackey-Frayer for that. Next to Top Stories Global Watch, we begin with a major seizure of chemicals at a port in Barcelona that were allegedly headed to Russia. Spanish authorities announcing they seized 13 tons of banned chemical barrels from a container shipment, including ingredients they say could be used to make chemical weapons. Investigators believe a criminal organization may be behind the operation. At least 4 people were arrested. And a man was rescued off the coast of Russia after spending 67 days adrift at sea. Video shows the moment Russian authorities spotted the man from a tiny boat flying a red flag. He was more than 600 miles from his intended destination. The boat was carrying the man, his brother, and teenage nephew when it lost contact in August. His brother and nephew did not survive. The man was taken to the hospital. He is in serious condition. And new video shows the destructive fire at a historic Catholic church in northern Chile. The footage shows flames engulfing the landmark church, sending smoke billowing into the air and causing its tower to collapse. The colonial-era building, formerly San Francisco Church, was declared a national monument in 1994. So far, no injuries have been reported, and so far, no word on the cause either. Okay, when we come back, born into Gaza. As war rages on the densely populated Gaza Strip, there is only one remaining maternity ward. Doctors there are tasked with delivering babies with limited supplies and under the sound of rocket fire. Tonight, our team takes us inside that hospital and along one baby's journey as he enters the world inside of a war zone. Welcome back. The Israel-Hamas war that was started with a terrorist attack has spiraled for over a year now into a humanitarian crisis. The people of Gaza have seen tens of thousands killed as the city has been left in ruins. Hospitals have tried to hold on amid the dire conditions with the knowledge that with so much death, there is also life and the birth of newborns. UNICEF estimates 56,000 babies have been born into Gaza since the start of the war. Nasser Hospital is the last functioning maternity ward in southern Gaza. It is there that NBC Digital docs obtained extraordinary access to chronicle one baby's journey into a world in peril. His mother came into the hospital alone with blood pressure that could threaten organ failure. Some of the footage you're about to see, we do want to warn you, is graphic. We leave you tonight with the story of a baby born in Gaza.
أنا إسلام الجنوان ما توقعناش ولا يوم من الأيام توقعنا إنه مثلاً إنه إحنا نعيش هذا الظروف الصعبة اللي بنعيشها والله يعني أنا جديدة جديد زهرة مش البيبي هاي راسه تحت ناقص ممتاز والله خايف والله بنتمنى انه يضل يعني في بطني ولا يطلع على هالدنيا اجواء والله نفسي والله 10 ايام تمام فحولوها من هناك لانه ساعه العمليه لقوا انه البلاد بريشر هاي 150 على 110 وعندنا 180 على 120 ولادات الاولى طبيعيه ما عدا قيصري واحده جنبك هذا بطن تمام طيب يا اسلام احنا الان حندخلك حتبدي تاخذي علاج للضغط ينزل ضغطك وحتاخذي علاج لانه مرضى الضغط ممكن يصير عندهم تشنجات حتاخذي علاج للتشنجات ويحضروك لقيصري تمام؟
السيدة إسلام القنوع هاي أم ل9 أطفال تمام. هذه تم الحمل طبعا من بداية الحرب أول شهر في الحرب تم الحمل. هاي السيدة تحولت علينا من مستشفى الهلال الأحمر الفلسطيني نتيجة علو شديد في ضغط الدم. منذ وصولها ضغط الدم كان عندها تقريبا 180 على 120 ملم. والأم هاي من زملاتنا فينا في العملية وإن شاء الله تكون بالسلامة وأمورها كويسة.
خلص تقلقيش ان شاء الله بتكون بالسلامه ان شاء الله ربع ساعه ان شاء الله بتكون بالسلامه ان شاء الله تقلقيش ربع ساعه ان شاء الله مش تقلقيش كل حكايه ربع ساعه ان شاء الله بتكون بالسلامه بعدين ان شاء الله بتزيد بالسلامه ان شاء الله. انا عندي دكتور الولاده ولاده ضغط عالي وقرروا لي هالكيتا يعني اني مثلا انا عندي الولاده وإن شاء الله بنطلع بالسلامة. أنا فقدت أخويا في أثناء الحرب وحبيت لما يجيني مولود أسمي على اسمه. وإحنا طلعنا من القصف والدمار لأنه إحنا نعيش في سلام فلحقنا الإشي يعني إحنا هنا والحمد لله إن شاء الله المولود يكون فرحة لنا.
نعمل لها العملية، فبالتالي ضغط دم بينزل بكل سهولة، وبما انه طبعا ونفقد الطفل. والحمد لله طبعا زي ما انت شايف وضع الطفل كويس.
لا تشوفوا بالنهار. هاي بيبي، شوفوا بيبي. ما شاء الله. يلا بصي.
شكرا والله.
زي الفل شايفة؟ يا صلاة شوية. وزنه. زي الفل ما شاء الله، مش محتاج تشفيط هو. هاي زي ما انت شايفة، ايوه حتى عنده حركة ايش؟ بيرجع تمام. هذا بيوحنا الطفل زي الفل. هاي كمان لونه وردي ما شاء الله، نفسه طبيعي تقلقيش. كنت سعيدة جدا. الحمد لله والشكر لله. ايش عندها هذه؟ يوم 15/8 مولود البيبي اللي ولدته. اجى الدكتور وحكى لي اخرجي، والحمد لله صحتي جيده وكويس. امسك الشنطه. اكثر اشياء كانت صعوبه ان انا فقدت زوجي، بقاش معي ولا اولادي ولا حدا، يعني اجاني حيث انا اني عديت على الولاده. أين رفيق الطريق ليشوف إخوته وأبوه، ولأول مرة من يوم ما الولد يشوفهم. ما يجوش على المستشفى بالمرة. يا عبد الهادي أنت أجيت في وقت في دمار وفي حروب، حتى السرير ما فيش للولد. وقاعدين في العراء وفي الرمل.
هاتي يا بابا. الحمد لله سلامتك يا خالد. الله يتمم لك على خير يا رب.
اهلا وسهلا.
تفضل.
مع السلامة.
والله كانت فرحة أول شيء لا توصف، بالذات يعني في ظل هالبؤس وهالدمار إنه إن شاء الله يعني بيشفي شوية من جراحه، وبيشفي شوية من هالمعاناة.
السلام عليكم. أسود أيام الحرب لما طفل ينحط في خيمة زي هذه، أسود وأصعب أيام الناس بتمر فيها لما طفل بنحط في خيمة زي هذه في الشوب وفي الحر. حطنا على الأرض في حياة، وإن طلعنا فوق ممكن يقع. حلو يا ملاك، حلو يا هيا. مبسوطين ابو؟
محبوب. جاء على فجأة ولا فكر. اسمعها؟ بس هذاك هو القصد. دخلت.
ايوه سامع صوت القصف عندنا، وبرضه يعني ان احنا انتقلنا.
مش بعيدة عنا 500 400 متر، مش بعيدة عنا. مش بعيد عنا، شايف؟ شرطنا وهم هيك بخبطوا علينا زي هيك، شرطنا الله اللي سطر. هي راحت على ناصر واحنا جينا هان.
ولما انا كمان بقوم هنا من الارض بتصعب، بحس انا كل الغرز بدهم يفرطوا عندي، لانه صعب انا اقف من الارض، السرير الي مش موفق. تعالي يا عز، يلا استنى. والله غير تنفتي حملي.
سامع 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 سامع. لا اله الا الله. سامع. خبط كسر. الله يستر.
هاي يا فندم، هذا دور على الطيار. والله الشرشف مش موجود اللي نغطيها فيه. مكانها وين على الرمل. بصور الرمل من الجنب، الرمل من فوق.
هذول جيراننا ترى برمضان هم لما احنا بنحتاج مي دائما بنيجي من عندهم.
يا اخوي
بقشروش دائما فينا. بنسخن مي عشان نحمم الطفل عبد الهادي. قبل ما اخذها بدي احكي كلمتين. بقينا وربنا بيتولى.
حدث البرد عندنا.
كنت سخن.
سائل بنغسل الطفل بسائل، ما فيش اي نوع شامبو نحممه فيه، بسائل الجليد. ترغيش. هل عندنا عادات لما ينولد المولود ونحممه زي هيك كنا نحط في المية مصاري عشان يظل مرزوق ويظل وجهه حلو ويظل حياته سعيدة. كنا الشامبوهات المصاري نرمي في المي مصاري الصغار يتقتلوا، مين اللي بده يكب المي عشان ياخذ المصاري اللي فيها؟ اليوم هذا كله فيش منه ولا عادي من العادات القديمة قادرين نعملها.
والوش منور. أنا رسالتي بوجهها إن شاء الله الفرج قريب. والله ما يلا بسم الله.
فولي وغالي بدل ما بنحط بودرة أطفال سيرة.
السعادة تكون وإن شاء الله خير علينا. بسم الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. الله يجعلك. ورسالتي رغم الحصار إن إحنا مبسوطين، يعني جانب إنسانة مجروحة إنه أنا خش علي طفل جديد وبده يفرح حياتنا لأن يعوض علينا اللي راحوا منا والقصف والخوف واللي تشرد يعني اللي إحنا عايشينه. هذه هي رسالتي.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.